Justin, lead it off.
Sorry, give me 1 second. Welcome everybody to another Sunday sermon live with your host, Mr. Banks, and no risk, no premium. You're not financial advisors, and nobody on this call is, and nothing shall be taken as financial advice, only pure entertainment.
I thought you were trying to dial in your keyboard.
I know. I was going
stupid
to.
intro. That's why you're like, give me a second. I'm like, I was just gonna start talking. Yeah. Be like, well, anyway. What is up, guys? What is happening? It is No Risky Risk, the 2-minute drill sergeant. But we're here on the Sunday sermon. Got Mr. JG Banks, the GOAT, in the cut as well.
What's up?
Going live for our Wolfpack community. Quick, I guess, service announcement for those new followers into the YouTube. Welcome. Every night we do a 2-minute drill. Literally in 2 minutes, we tell you exactly what you should be looking for in the market. Then we do a Sunday sermon, which is like going to church for the stock market, right? Get your mind right. Get your mind right. Get you all set up for the week. That's what the Sunday sermon is, guys. So we hope you enjoy this. But let's dive right in. Now, what are we looking at right in front of me?
I know.
The SPY. Yeah, the SPY. You better know. The SPY chart. As we see here, we've been talking all week about this nice, huge bull flag we've been filling out since our low at 362. So we're still following that pattern up. Last week we had economic data, but this week is OPEX week. For those of you that don't know, options expiration, look it up on Investopedia, just search OPEX. It'll let you know exactly what that is, but we know the volatility there usually increases a lot throughout the entire market. We see a lot more violent moves, lots of big positions become unwound, and then they roll them out to next month, next quarter, next half year, whatever it might be. So we are expecting some movement this week, but let's dive into the macroeconomics, which we like to touch first, right? What type of economic data should be coming out? Is the Fed speaking? These are all things that, guys, you need to know if these are going to be taking place, right? So every week you want to look. And this week, we obviously have what?
Inflation.
Whoopsie. Right here. The Consumer Price Index, core CPI, month over month, year over year. Guys, CPI, why is that important? Because we know what the Fed is doing right now in a quantitative tightening phase. They are looking at the unemployment market or the jobs market, and they're looking at inflation. Well, one thing they don't have under control, and it's inflation. So basically, they've got to tighten the faucet even more the more out of control inflation is. So it's going to be pretty important to see, hey, do they have it under control? They are forecasting that they do not. Okay. I mean, look, 8.8, 8.6 is what we haven't, we've been increasing month over month. So look, 8.8. I'll tell you this, if we come in above the previous, not good. And then we have what? The jobless. Oh, where to go? Oh, right here. The jobless claims as well. So, I would look at the producer price index as well. Obviously, that is more.
We also got retail sales as well.
Yeah.
On Friday.
We have a lot of good economic data in conjunction with it being OPEX week, right? So basically, we're just trying to figure out who's lying. The White House says strong economy, strongest it's ever been, and its people and consumers are in some of the best spots they've ever been. And then you got, the Fed is like greatest job market ever. They're kind of pivoting on if they had inflation under control, right? And then you got, the consumer confidence index at an all-time low in the last 10 years with the highest debt to income ratio, right? So if you have a higher debt to income ratio, that's not good. That means you're going into debt to pay for necessities, right? So these retail sales, right, will be interesting. Retail sales excluding vehicles will be a good one as well, because the housing market and the car market and the auto market the vehicle market have been on fire, right? So obviously that's going to kind of skew any sort of data to the upside if that is going to be a contributor to any sort of percentage or calculation they're trying to do. So this week, man, big week, but Unless I didn't see it right, Mr. Fuck Your Puts, Jerome Powell is not going to be coming on live. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
I didn't see him, right? You didn't see him,
I
Justin?
did not see him either.
I didn't see anything. And he
It's the lesser known ones.
Yeah. He typically Wallner with the economic outlook. So, on Thursday, this will be interesting, right? Because everybody wants to know about the outlook of the economy. So if we have one of the, the federal presidents or governors, whatever they call them, that's coming on to speak, market's going to listen. So you could expect in a tad bit of basing here prior into this, just to make sure it doesn't say anything stupid. But yes, I mean, other than that, it's a bank's earning week, right? Isn't that what that for this week?
We got JP, I think.
Yeah.
Wells.
So we've got JP Morgan on Thursday, Morgan Stanley Thursday, and then I think I also saw. How do you get? Did I see Citigroup?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. Whoa. Okay, JP Morgan. Hold on one second, guys. I think it was Friday, huh?
Citigroup is.
Are they Wednesday?
It's Friday.
They are Friday.
Citigroup is Friday. BlackRock is Friday. U.S. Bank.
Citigroup PNC. Okay, yeah. So guys, we've got Citigroup, Wells Fargo, JP Morgan, and was it Morgan Stanley? U.S. Bank Corp too. Okay.
And Morgan Stanley. Yeah.
So we got a lot. I guess BAC is the only one I didn't see.
JP Morgan, PNC.
Yeah. So we got BlackRock as well.
Oh, WAFT Bank.
Bank of New York Mellon. So we have a lot of banks, guys. Why are banks important? Well, the banks will give us some outlook because consumers or depositors, us, do business with them. And so they see what our true, I guess, pocketbook, cash on hand, whatever you want to call it. They know our debt. They know our income. They know how much we're depositing each month, right? So, and then we'll get to figure out what type of leverage assets they have as well. So this will be interesting for the banks to give, their, I guess, a health check, if you will. It's always interesting to watch them as well. And I'm almost positive, I don't think JT Gladiator's on this call. That's Dan, one of our admins, guys. He's the small accounts and earnings specialist. I know he likes to play XLF, which is the financial sector weighted of the S&P. But if you didn't want to play one of these banks, you would want to go play the XLF. And those are cheaper contracts, and he's played those very well in the past. So definitely check out his chat.
Yeah, I think he has some bullish flow.
He was playing some calls on BAC last week. Just be interesting what happens going into the OPEX week here with all their earnings as well. And I think the following week we have the actual FOMC meeting as well. I think it's the last week. I think it's like no. Oh, so they don't even give us into next week. Hold on. This does though. 27th. Yeah. So the following week after OPEX, right? Yep. Following week after OPEX, we have FOMC. Okay. So lots of economic data this week, FOMC the following week. And that's why I've been targeting the 8/19, August 19th puts instead of the 7/16 puts, right? Buying ourselves some time here. Okay. Justin, you seeing anything or any, earnings or anything you want to add to
I think earnings this week could be just Delta.
Okay. Oh, yeah, no. Yeah, I did see that.
That's a big one. From all the reports are that everybody's flying still, and it's like going to be the biggest summers in a long time. So
yep,
we'll see how that goes out.
Yep. No, and so guys, why is Justin brings up a good thing with Delta? Delta is important, and a good gauge of just economic strength from the consumer side is if you have exposable or disposable income, that you can spend on vacations, traveling, hospitality, you will spend that in a strong market. You will not spend that when times are tough, right? Yep. So you get a gauge on the hospitality, hotels, travel, okay? When things are getting tough. And so if the outlook isn't well, and, airlines have been really messed up in the last 6 months with, I don't know if there's been strikes, but, layoffs or just lack of workers and pilots and this and that and flight delays and cancellations, et cetera, blah, 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 blah. So, those are just headlines until they open up their books and show you revenue and growth outlook projections, right? Good eye there for Delta there, Justin. And I know that a lot of the following week, we do have all the big blue chip. Another reason why I like the 819 is because we get to have, Netflix, Apple. I'm almost positive if I went, I think Google, Microsoft, they'd all be within a week or two of these big names, right? And if we see that Tesla's laying off employees, shutting down Gigafactory, Netflix is increasing prices, Apple put a halt on, like a lot of companies are starting these hiring freezes, right? Which is not good for the economy. Okay. People go out of business. Inflation's high. They already can't afford to live. And now they don't have a job. Right. You guys see how that little snowball.
It's almost, the guidance is going to be more important than the actual numbers.
All about the guidance here.
Yeah.
All about the guidance. This quarter, they could beat this quarter, but investors want to know, what are you going to do next quarter, next year? Do I keep my confidence in you? Are you going to grow? Are you not going to grow? Right? Because guys, think about if you own a stock. Just really think about what makes a stock go up or down. Up, more buyers than sellers. Down, more sellers than buyers. Like sometimes you got to step back and be really, simple. Okay. If Apple says, I'm making shit up right now. If Apple comes out and says, demand is great for the iPhone, but the cost of goods from Taiwan has increased, and they're having labor shortages there. And we're actually going to be putting a hiring freeze on our Q4 or like through the end of Q4, whatever, right? That's not good, right? Those are not good things. From an investing standpoint, you do not want to hear that, okay? But you guys remember when Apple had the earnings where they came out and said, our AirPods alone did 20 billion in sales, right? You guys remember that earnings? Apple went fucking ballistic because Apple did more revenue than like 90% of tech companies with one product line. That's what investors like to hear, okay? Right? So just step back and really think about that. It's all about the guidance. They don't care what's really going on right now. They want to know what's going to happen in the future, okay? Like nobody's going to go put all their money in on something where they're like, hey, we don't really know what's about to happen, so we're not going to even give guidance. Like, what? Give me back my money. I'm going to sell, okay? So just sometimes think about it in a more simpler sense, okay?
It's all, the pricing is all future forward.
Mm-hmm.
Pricing is what essentially happens in the market.
Yep. Okay, so following week after this, we have all blue chips. This week, banks will be fun with OPEX, and some good economic data. So, guys,
let's get right volatility.
To the charts. Expect volatility. Get right to the chart. This is still probably my favorite chart this 1 hour, and here's why. Hold on.
Hey guys, I think one thing to know, if you do have your computer in you or you have more than one screen, definitely pull up your chart along with it, whether you're in TradingView. Whatever you use, just pull it up, and then it'll definitely help you try to get the levels that we get and then see things that we see.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely one thing, throwing it out there.
Yeah, you'll be doing yourself a disservice if you're not writing it down, or it's very easy just to plot levels, on your own broker, up at the same time, or even if you're watching live, just to listen, to go back and listen again, and pull your broker up. Okay, do the dirty work early, right? Just do your work right now. Why is this my favorite chart? Well, we can see here how big of this 390 level is, right? 390 to 393 is a huge level. On the daily chart, it's a huge supply zone, right? So what are we seeing here on the TTM squeeze? One of my favorite indicators, right? Just zoom in so you guys can see. We've got a ton of red dots. Guys, red dots on the TTM indicator is an area of consolidation, okay? And that's what this is. This is an area of consolidation, okay? In a range, not trading with like outside the range, just staying right in its range. And it's really been doing that for quite some time now. I mean, if you really look, we just stayed between 373 and 383. And now we're spending time between 385 and now 390. Okay. So The move that comes out of this, right, will be big. Okay, just think about that. Let's show the last time we squeezed. Okay, we squeezed right in here. You guys see all these red dots. Just think about that like a springboard. The moment it turned green, we started moving up, right? And you could see the momentum, the histogram of the little, let me see if I can zoom in just a tad more. Okay, there you go. So you can see when you turn green, like you do right here, right? You start to get the momentum, right? And you play the momentum is to the upside, right? The histogram to the upside is going to be more buying pressure. And then if anything's below, it's going to be selling pressure. Okay. But we're still going to play 393 and respect it like the level that it is. Okay. But we are in a massive, massive, massive squeeze here. So what happens? I don't know, but we have the CPI data on Wednesday. Something tells me the market could try to catch some people off sides and tell them and use that as a catalyst to go one way or the other. Okay.
And guys, these highlighted areas you see, these will be your supply and demand zones. So I know that's being talked a lot nowadays.
Yeah.
So it's essentially support and resistance. It's the same thing.
So supply and demand are typically like support and resistance can be supply and demand. Supply and demand aren't always support and resistance. You can have support and resistance intraday, but supply and demand are usually your higher time frames when you see big rejects or big bounces off those levels multiple times. Okay. That shows the areas of where there is going to be mass accumulation or mass distribution for the most part. Like this area we know is up here is 393. We know that this is huge supply because it bounced off it so heavily. Okay. And then we knew that 374, right, was demand because every time we got down there, we had a nice bounce off it. Right. Okay. So that's the difference between supply and demand and support and resistance. Support and resistance can be supply and demand, but demand or supply and demand are always support and resistance, if that makes sense. Okay. Those were also previous gaps as well that were meant to be filled. And we're still all eyeing this huge gap up here at 400, right? So bear with me. Zoom out. Dude, people look at my chart, they're like, bro, how do you live? Like, what is going on there? So we see here, right? We've got this massive gap, 395 to 401. Everyone and their freaking mother wants that gap filled. Okay. And I'm looking at it like it's very possible it can get filled. It has to get through 393. Like absolutely has to get through there. If it does not get through there, probably this week, I would think we'd probably go and try some new lows. But now I also want to show you this. Okay. You guys see this purple dotted line right here? Right now it's at about 396-ish. It'll open on Monday, probably a tad bit lower on the daily chart. But let's zoom out for just a sec. And let's see if before we really started our descent back down to new lows up here from like 440s, 450s, we never were able to get above that 50, right? You see the purple dotted, right? Never quite able to get above the 50. And then you see this green dotted line. We were able to get above it. And this was actually, we got above it from the last FOMC minutes. This was actually the FOMC minutes here. Dip down and then rip up, right? We got through it. And then remember when we based in this range for like 2 weeks, okay? And then that was when we finally sold off. So what am I thinking could happen here? We got close through this range up here after the FOMC minutes, right? And we didn't get above that 50, but we got up close to it, okay? Well, now we're coming up here and flirting with it again, okay? So what am I thinking? Could we get up here, okay, after the FOMC minutes we had last week, okay, and then base up here a little bit higher, maybe even base within this gap range area? It's very possible, guys. You know, the fact that we did not, reject off of 392 like we did last time, 20 points off. Last week we went up and hit it and held for 2 days. From a bullish standpoint, that is, I would call that bullish consolidation underneath a big resistance. So I would call that bullish. But the volume told me decreasing volume, right? you guys can see right here, decreasing volume on an increasing stock is divergence and is not a lot of strength, right? So we're going to need a big strength day. You need a lot of volume to get up through that level. Okay. So I'm just giving a possibility, guys, that if we try 393 again and we get through it and hold, then I will probably aim for 400 short-term calls. I will, I am from an 819 and August 19th standpoint, more starting to build a short position. You can still be, macro short, but short term, it could still go long. You have to play the chart, right? Have to play the chart here. But it is interesting that the 50 MA is coming down here to 396, which is right before that gap fill. So if we haven't been able to get through it, and now it's at a huge resistance mixed with a 50 MA, what it's telling me is that's going to be a mother and a half to get through. Okay. A mother and a half to get through. So for me, I'm thinking we could possibly go try that level again. Okay. But I'm not going to bet all the marbles that we get through it. That's where I'm at. Justin, you want to add maybe what you're seeing?
Or I'm pretty much seeing the same thing. If we do, don't be afraid to switch up and take the call side.
Yeah.
Because if we do have it and there's volume coming in and we get some good numbers and it's going through and we break, we can definitely see some serious upside from there.
Yep. Remember, guys, in a quote unquote bear market, I guess right now, being at the level we're at, we're just, shy of 20% off market highs, which is technically.
Can you go
textbook. Go ahead.
The weekly?
Yeah.
Weekly or monthly? Real quick.
Oh, geez.
Let's just go monthly real quick. Actually,
monthly?
Sorry.
Oh, God, it looks so. God, that looks ugly, huh? It's hard to see.
Scroll out a little bit. I just want to show like where this is the zone it's bouncing off of right now, like the level, okay. The major.
What do you want to see? Like,
take away all the lines. Oh, can you hide all your indicator? Oh, you can't on.
I don't think we could do that.
Yeah.
That's why it looks so bad. Like when I
you could see. I guess you could see if you look to the left. It's on. I mean, we are bouncing on a major.
Oh yeah. I mean, this
breakout zone.
This was huge resistance here.
Yeah.
What he's talking about is right here. Let's see if we can. If I can zoom this in. So you guys see how big this resistance was here, right?
Yeah.
It took a green boner candle to get that thing up and over. But even then, when we got through, the 360s here, had to back test it a couple times before it wanted to head higher. So yeah, what he's saying there, guys, is,
we do have potential for, buys and volume to come in to support this area as a,
Mm-hmm. I think I talked about
bottom.
One of the last ones. I mean, we also noticed, like, not to lose sight of the long term is like, look historically what works with the MAs on the monthly here is like, it's going to want to get down to this 50 MA. It's going to want to get down to this 100 MA, right? 50 being the purple and the 100 being the brownish orange right here, right?
Yep.
Anytime we have had those dips, right, they've always stayed, right? You can see that. But, I wouldn't be, the market wants to make you uncomfortable. Wants to make you comfortable. Excuse me. It wants to make you think, oh man, we're going long now. Like, right? Like, oh, bear market over, right? Look at we're like, if we should have just been buying calls forever. And then they drop you on your head. Right. So that's why I'm like not in love with that gap above. I feel like that could be a little bit of a like they're dangling the cheese, for the mouse right there in the mouse trap.
Well, yeah, they need liquidity to sell into. So everybody's buying into that gap and they're just selling into your buy.
Yeah, no, exactly. So that's where I'm like, I'm a little hesitant, I'd much rather start maybe, as we're nearing these big resistance levels, you start biting into these short positions that are a little bit more long-term.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
The only thing to keep in mind is like, as we've seen, is the Fed is in complete control. So, this is definitely controlled demolition down. So even though we think it's just going to go down, we could just be seeing this over and over and over again for the next year, potentially, until we get down to a level.
I mean, we can zoom out and show you on this weekly chart. Like, it's not uncommon to have down, bounce, down, bounce, down, bounce, down, bounce. Like this is not, something like out of the norm or like we're not used to. Like we're fully expecting this, right? It's just that we've always, after we've bounced, we've always come back down. So that's, in a bear market, you want to play the breakout to the downside, right? You don't play the breakout to the upside. The bull market, you play a breakout to the upside and you buy support, right? So you always, we get up near resistance. You got to think the majority of the time is going to be true resistance, and any breakout will be a breakdown. Okay. Okay. But for this week, we touched all the economic data and the earnings that we're going to want to take a peek at. And then as far as these levels, right, like you guys can still see, how big 393 is, right? 390 to 393 is to be respected, And so for me, above 393 or above 392, really, we would definitely probably go try 395. 395 is the beginning of the gap. I would expect there to be some resistance, some pretty strong resistance there for the bears to put up a fight. Not saying we crater down, but, I wouldn't be taking the first touch of it for a breakout into the gap. Okay. But if we do break out of it into the gap, I'd be pretty confident that at least 400 would come. Psychological level, and it was big support in the past. So that's where my mind is above 392, 395, 400. Okay. If we get below 378 again, okay, I'm almost positive that we would break down and likely go see new lows. Okay. Under 378 would be 374, 372, 370, 365, 362. 358 I have, but I would look at 355, 350 underneath those. Okay. It's tough being OPEX week. All of those levels are in play this week, man. We're not market predictors. We're just traders. Price tells us how we need to react. Okay. So don't get stubborn. Don't think market should only be going down because quantitative tightening, raising rates, bad outlook, XXX, right? We can't think that way. The market will stay irrational longer than you will stay solvent. So just play what's in front of you and just play what the chart is showing you. Okay. We can go up, 5 points in one day. Doesn't mean we're all going to get all bowled up. Just for that day, the calls was the play, right? Just like we have a 10-point down day. Puts were the play that day. We could easily be taking calls the next day. Okay. Don't get hung up on your bias and your ego. Just trade what's in front of you. Okay. And then pay attention to when like big economic data or anyone in the Fed is speaking, especially if you're loaded one side or the other and know that they could easily flip the script on you. Right. Sheesh. That's all I got, Justin. Really simple.
That's all I got.
Really simple,
after
really
this, I'm just going to take a break for about 5 minutes and then I'll drop the link and we can go over the Weibo hotkeys if anybody wants to join.
Okay, sweet. That'll be
We're going to try to figure that out. So
yeah. Anyone have any questions, guys? I know we had, we got a good amount of people on this call today, but you guys have any questions, Justin? I can just answer real quick.
Okay.
I'll give it a minute here in case someone's typing something out. But yeah, I'm excited for this week. Should be a good one.
Yeah, well, we got admins back.
Yeah, all the admins are back, guys.
Well, Sherilyn's still on vacation.
Well, yeah, she's living it up.
In Greece.
We see VIX here due for a bounce as well.
Oh, yeah. That's what. Sorry. It's on the 200 MA.
Yeah. Due for a bounce here. I mean, you could see this trend line.
Yeah.
Like drew, but not really great. I guess that. John B. New script incoming. Is that Lizard King?
I believe so.
Shout out Lizard King, y'all, man.
Hey.
Crushing it. We'll probably just toss this like
Is that new script for TradingView or TOS?
How about Meta TV? Oh, for
nice.
TradingView.
Perfect.
How about Meta? I don't watch Meta that much because I'm not in love with it. But I mean, it's a pretty nice double bottom there. You could see from almost at the COVID low, right?
Yeah.
Some think we go back to COVID lows. So, it's a tough one with Meta because Meta's been getting screwed over when it was Facebook by the Apple iOS settings, right? They're losing users as well. So they're not collecting as much ad revenue. And now they're shifting to the virtual reality where who knows how much money they're going to be making in the short term. The metaverse might be this great thing in 10, 15, 20 years, but investors don't really love here in 10, 15, 20 when you're going to lose money in the short term. Does that make sense? So you got to think about it both sides as well. But as far as like what the trend is, well, this trend is very simple to see. I mean, it's definitely a, sell the rip, sell the rip, sell the rip. But, we did get above the 20 MA here, this green dotted. It looks like we closed above it here. So, I mean, I would think maybe a possibility of trying to get back to that 50, which is the purple dotted, which it has rejected. That's the trend. I would look for that. I think there's a gap right here too. I can zoom this in. It looks like we have did we fill that? Almost. I think 172 short term could definitely print. 175 short term could print. Who asked that? Valantas.
And then Baba.
See, Chinese names are good. I like them, and then I don't like them because they're like, everyone's like, Chinese names bottom. I'm like, yeah, and then they're like, but we think they're going to get delisted because they're not auditing the right way. It's just like, well, that's not good.
Okay, cool.
Baba, I mean, look at this is back over the 200-day on the daily.
It looks
I
strong.
would want to confirm. I'd want this to just maybe spend a week above this 200-day, above 120. Just spend some time above there. Because this candle looks like a rejection candle. 2 wicks to the top. I mean, let's see on the weekly chart. Weekly chart right up to the 50. So you're at some big resistance right now. So yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to get really bold up in this market right now. But as far as a trade, I think the reject off this 50, and then I would see how it reacts on the daily here with this 200 being this green, blue, cyan, whatever the hell you want to call it, line. Hope that answers your question. I don't think anyone else, any other questions? I think that's it.
All right. I think that's it.
All right, guys. Hey, thanks for tapping in. Justin's going to go ahead and hop over and do the hotkeys for Webull.
Sir.
I'll work on the back end, get this thing uploaded, getting it out to you guys so you can watch it again. If you want, you could share it with your friends. You can do whatever the hell you want with it. But hopefully you just do the homework. That's all we ask. No risky signing off. Justin, you want to take us out?
I will see you. Wolves are out.
See you in the pre-market. Peace.